All right, a fun week of football just happened. Alex, neither one of us did great in college football. We both did pretty well in NFL.
Overall, I'll take a 9-4.
6-4.
6-4. I said it twice now. 6-4 week.
Yeah, so let's go over our picks from last week. We're going to start with college football, and we're going to start with the first game, which was a Friday night game, first-ranked matchup. Illinois went to Nebraska. Nebraska had all the momentum, leading almost the entire game. Illinois comes back at the end. It was a close game the entire game.
Yeah, but you ain't Mahomes' doppelganger if you don't pull off that win.
It did seem, but if you followed Nebraska the past few years, it was pretty inevitable.
Yeah.
This has been their MO, losing one-score games. Illinois
Shout out Matt Rule.
Yeah, Illinois went in there, overtime win at Nebraska, 31-24. I think we both picked Nebraska in this one.
So we both took a little L there.
It was not a great way to start the pick bets of the week, but hey, it was a good game at least.
It was a good game, but I really felt like coming into this week, it was like, man, am I gonna go down heavy? You know, like heavier than I already am this early in the season. It felt like it for a while because going into the next football pick, we both picked USC at Michigan.
And this was like an 11 a.m. Saturday kickoff, so it was the first one of Saturday. Michigan, we both picked USC. Michigan jumped out to a 14-3 lead.
It was crazy.
Then UFC turned it around, comes back, takes the lead late, and then late they allow Michigan like a 40-something yard touchdown run. They lose, by 3 or 4 points.
Yep.
Michigan was underdogs at home. But Michigan got the win. USC, that was a bad loss for USC.
Yeah.
They had a lot of momentum coming in.
It was a bad loss for me.
Nice.
Thanks. I tried. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, how can I connect that?
As an LSU fan, I wanted USC to win. As our loss, I wanted them to keep doing well. This was a game I think USC is going to look back and say, we should have won that game.
That's a good outlook for you.
I'm not rooting for the SEC teams that we lose to, but...
Yeah, but even so, it's like you don't want the loss to be a shitty
bad
opponent.
Loss, yeah.
So that's a very good outlook. I appreciate that. The next game we lost as well. Utah Utes went to Oklahoma State and beat them at home. Although Utah was favored in that one, I just thought Bowman.
I think Utah was up 22-3 in this.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma State came back at the end. The final score 22-19. Utah held on. Bowman has been very disappointing this season. In this game, he was very disappointing.
I was gonna say not this season. He's been very. Surprisingly great this season.
He's like 27 years old.
I know, but he came into this game at like 970 passing yards, whole bunch of touchdowns, very few interceptions, and he was just completely like turned off.
Yeah, 2-2. First good team they played in.
Yeah, so shout out to them. We lost 0-3 to start the college football week.
0-3. Then we got a win. This is the win we thought we were going to have, but it looked shaky at first. LSU beats UCLA at home. UCLA, arguably one of the worst
UCLA went
Power
and
5
scored
teams.
just immediately.
Well, we scored immediately. Then they scored.
Right, but what I'm saying is, as kind of we said it last week, how all these spreads with LSU is a trap because everybody's scoring on them.
Well, they almost pulled it off. They shut them out. The final score was 34-17. It was 17-17 at half. So LSU kind of got focused at halftime. The spread was 24, so they almost got to that 24.
They had to have just more gas in the tank than these were like clearly worse schools. Like if you can just keep it close to halftime, if you're struggling as the better team, you can.
They're more talented. You would hope your talent eventually would start playing better, and that's what happened. LSU though. Not a great first half, but I think there's good signs in the second half. They kind of turned it on.
Just not very good signs from the defense. They're still allowing way too many points to nobodies.
But the second half, they shut them out.
They
allowed 89 yards.
Shot out to the second half of LSU. And then the other win for college football. So now we're 1-3. So then we finish off the evening.
We picked the biggest game of the weekend, right? So I'll take credit in that. Tennessee went to OU, welcomed OU to the SEC by a good old-fashioned.
We picked the biggest game of the weekend, right, as they were 7 point. No, I can't say that because the other two are big favorites and they lost.
Yeah, 7 points not that big in college football. Oklahoma was at home.
Hit the under,
first
which is
SEC
fun.
game. Hit the under, surprisingly. It was 25-15 was the final score. It wasn't that close. Tennessee kind of dominated the whole game. Oklahoma scored late.
The Sooners scored quick. Like at the beginning of the game.
And they scored like right at the end.
They weren't able to really produce after that initial
So a nice win for Tennessee. They look for real this year.
And that brought us to 2-3 on the college football.
Yeah, because we had the same college football picks.
Yep.
Did we have the same NFL picks too?
I don't know. Let's run through them and find out.
First one, your team.
We got to win. Bears at the Colts. After looking very impressive against the Texans, It turns out
In a loss.
both teams were frauds because the Texans.
It's still early. Nobody's frauds at this point.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about my own team being a fraud, I can.
You called the Texans frauds.
They also scored 3 points last week or 6 points last week.
They're
whatever it was.
2-1.
Anyway, so the Bears went to the Colts. Colts eked out the win. Caleb Williams finally had some success, but honestly, it was just a game where the Colts were able to battle through their flaws. Got some good Jonathan Taylor work done. Anthony Richardson needs to be way more careful with the ball, but we both got that one right. So we started off Sunday morning 1-0.
Then the Saints Eagles. This was.
What the fuck happened?
This was such a horrible. Both teams played like shit in this game.
Yeah,
honestly,
but the Eagles have been playing like shit for a while.
Yeah, but neither team deserved to win this. The Eagles ended up pulling out the win, so I guess
that's also
props
the
to them.
things that the Saints kind of do is they do lose those one possession games a lot of time.
Recently,
my knowledge.
Your biased eyes, but yeah.
You did last week say that. I don't remember if it was Hurts or Carr throwing an interception. Props to you. Both did, so you got it right either way.
Well, I knew Carr wasn't that guy, and he proved it in this game.
So
I think he threw for like 90 yards or something.
Yeah, it was abysmal.
Both teams, it was just not a fun game to watch.
No, you're right.
Bad decisions from Sirianni as a coach.
Crazy
Saints
weird play
couldn't
calling.
get anything going on. Yeah, it was just weird. A weird game overall.
You don't have Taysom Hill, and then all of a sudden you forget how to play football as a whole.
Yeah,
like, that's
I
stupid.
don't understand what happened.
So
yeah.
1-1 after that game.
Then we move on. This was the game you were saying, the Texans. We both picked the Vikings,
Thank Christ.
I picked them because they were at home. I thought this was going to be a close game. Vikings 34-7 whooped the Texans' ass.
So is Sam Darnold that dude?
You saw Bill Belichick's little slight, huh?
No.
He said everybody was high, or everybody likes Sam Darnold except the Jets, apparently.
Oh,
so
man.
it's kind of like he's kind of blaming the Jets for Sam Darnold's like disappointing career as number 2 because he's looked good overall. He's always had a good arm. Looks like he has some confidence behind him and he has a team behind him.
Leading the MVP voting.
I mean, that's 3 weeks. Yeah, that's not even a joke.
Yeah, he's leading the league in touchdowns. Well, I'll get to that when we talk about the Vikings because we're talking about them again this week. But yeah, that moved us to 2-1 to start. So we'll be happy with that.
We'll take that. Then we go Sunday Night Football, Chiefs Falcons.
Yep.
A game where people are still clamoring the NFL made the Chiefs win this game.
Okay, so I don't understand
questionable pass interference, non-pass interference calls.
I get that, but outside of everything, I do not get why the Chiefs are walking into every single game with these kind of odds. Moneyline minus 190. They're like I don't want to say best team.
190 is pretty good odds.
I know.
I mean,
but I'm saying
that's pretty big favorite in the NFL.
Right, but we see, minus like the Bills right here, minus 250.
Yeah, but they were playing the Jags.
Right.
God hates Jags.
Yeah, you're right about that. You are right about that, and rightfully so. The Jags suck. Trevor Lawrence might have been.
But anyway, the Chiefs
might have been the ruin.
The Falcons should have won this game. In my opinion, they outplayed the Chiefs, but the Chiefs did what the Chiefs do: figure out a way to win with a little help from the refs.
They're so crafty. They're just so damn crafty.
Where's Travis Kelce? Nobody
It doesn't matter
knows.
because if you add those, put 2 people on them, that just opens up someone else, and that's usually what happens. But we won that one, so we'll take that too.
And then we go to we saw the big ass whooping in the Vikings over the Texans. This was the biggest ass whooping of the week. It happened on Monday Night Football. Bills 47-10 over the Jags. I don't think it was even that close.
That was a blowout.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence got pulled.
Yeah.
They put Mac Jones in. How bad is it where you get pulled and they put Mac Jones in?
And Mac Jones played under Bill Belichick, so you can't just say it was a coaching problem like you can for a lot of people. But yeah, we won that one. So overall, went 4-1.
Bills
NFL.
low-key might be – the Vikings we talked about them. Bills might be the best team in the NFL so far.
Yeah, Bills look good.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, I think the 2 MVP frontrunners 3 weeks in.
Yeah, it's early, obviously.
You can have a 3-weekend
but both
MVP
teams
run.
looking superb.
Yes.
So 4-1 NFL. What is that, 2-3 NCAA?
So 6-4 overall.
Yeah, we'll take it. How'd you do on bets?
My bets I did 3-2. So I got my 2 losses: Oklahoma State money line, which we talked about.
Yep.
And I had the Saints -3, which even if they would have pulled this off, well, they were up 12-7. They should have won 12-7, but
yeah, I get
either way, 2 losses. But I did get Tennessee -7.
You gotta stop that really long Dallas Goedert pass.
Yeah, that was just, what are we doing? We had 3 guys run into each other.
It's like you stop that, you win the game. That sparked into my head because
that was just.
Yeah,
I knew that was going to happen though.
It was
a game they didn't deserve to win, so it's
right.
okay. You can't even be mad. But my wins.
Yeah, more importantly, the wins.
Tennessee Volunteers -7 on the road. They covered. They won by 10. I had the Vikings +115 money line. Obviously, they covered. And then I had the Chiefs -175 money line. Mm-hmm. And they pulled it out thanks to the striped officials.
See, -175. I would bet every single week on the Chiefs if the odds looked like that. I had Tennessee -265, Bills -235, Colts -122, Chiefs -172, all money line, all winners. And Nebraska lost. The biggest one, -315, lost.
Well, that's gross.
3-2 for you. You went up 1.18 units, brings you to a total cum of 37-18 -3.09. Better. We're getting there. I'm 38-22 -7.97. So, go. I'm went 4-1, up 2.41 on the week. So, a little bit of baby steps. We'll get there. Moving on to this week. You want to run through the picks real quick?
Yeah,
let's go through the picks at the end for UFC.
Yeah, so we have 6 UFC picks. We're going to have 10 football picks, 5 college, 5 NFL. Let's go through our college games first and NFL games. And we're going to start college football, ranked versus ranked matchup. Number 20, the team we've been covering a lot for some reason, Oklahoma State. At number 23, Kansas State. Both teams 3-1. Both teams 0-1 in the Big 12 Conference. Both teams coming off disappointing losses. Kansas State, this was a crazy stat. They were up, I think it was 6-3 with like 3 minutes left in the first half against BYU. Mm-hmm. In game time of like 7 minutes, the score flipped to like 31-6. Yeah. BYU scored I think it was an interception, and they had a big touchdown run. It was just a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, BYU ended up winning 38-9. It was nuts.
I don't think that's as indicative. The scoreline is as indicative of who Kansas State is as a football team. I think the game just kind of got away from them quick. Some big plays.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
Because Kansas State scored well against Tulane, and Tulane's got a good defense. I mean, as much as they're not a ranked program,
they don't have that good of a defense.
We're talking the
UL put 30-something points.
We're talking the lower rankings.
But then we go to Oklahoma State, where they lost by 3 to Utah. But that game, I also think is not indicative of the scoreline, because I think Utah dominated them for most of the game, and Oklahoma State made a little run at the end.
Bowman got a couple scores, a couple interceptions, but a couple of scores. It wasn't his best showing, but it wasn't,
Kansas State comes in 4.5-point favorites. They're -200 on the money line. I think just because they're at home, the Big 12 matchup, two teams that are used to each other, I have more confidence in Kansas State correcting things than Oklahoma State. I got the Wildcats winning this one.
I'm different. I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think Bowman is going to rebound.
You've been talking a lot about Bowman today.
I'm paying attention.
Did you just learn this guy's name?
No, I learned it a few weeks ago when we started. And I've been talking about how successful his passing attempts has been. And if they just right that ship, like as opposed to last week, they're going to be fine. They're going to win on the road.
So we differ on the first pick. Let's go to the next one. We got the 15th ranked Louisville Cardinals, 3-0, going to South Bend to take on the 16th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame 3-1. So Notre Dame 5.5-point favorites coming in.
I don't know much about this one because Alan Bowman's not playing in it.
Yeah, I figured that. Both teams coming off wins. Louisville 31-19 over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a good team, so that's the nice one for Louisville last week.
And 19 points is the most they have allowed through the 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, but Georgia Tech's like the first legitimate.
Yeah. Still, though, only 19, and you get the win. That's strong.
Notre Dame has 2 straight wins after the surprising loss to Northern Illinois. They beat the shit out of Purdue.
Yeah.
Like 66-7 or some shit. Then last week against Miami of Ohio, 28-3 win. Notre Dame's still one of those teams I don't trust.
It's something about Riley Leonard. He's like a game manager less than...
Runs the ball.
But he's not... It's different if you're running the ball and you're picking up 40 yards. He's like running the ball, picking up 6, which is good because you're moving downfield, but you're putting your body on the line a lot.
And you gotta hope nothing goes wrong because you need long drives.
Right. You need long drives, and that's the problem with Notre Dame. I still think they're gonna win, but
I think it's gonna be a close game. I really went back and forth on this one. I wanted to pick Louisville, but in the end, something's telling me Notre Dame at home. They're not gonna lose 2 in a row at home. Or 2 out of 3.
That's a good point.
I got the Fighting Irish winning.
Tyler Show, quarterback for the Cardinals, has 850 yards, 8 touchdowns.
He's been one of the. Let's see what you did. He's been one of the most talked about players
I'm trying
in
my
college
best
football.
today with the being punny, sir. Yeah, I still think Notre Dame's going to win. I do think it's going to be a close game. Over under 45.5. What do you see? I think the over is going to hit.
I don't know. I think that's like placed right at the right amount as usual.
Yeah, Vegas is bitches for that.
All right, let's move on. The game of the week, possibly the game of the regular season. Number 2 Georgia going to number 4 Alabama. Both teams 3-0. Both teams had last week off. Georgia in their last game did not look good.
I was going to say they needed to take last week off with how they played against Kentucky.
But this is probably the least when you would not want to play Georgia. A week off. They had a close game. Their coach is a hard ass.
Yeah.
Gonna give them shit for 2 weeks. They've been hearing it. They come in 2-point favorites, minus 130 on the money line at Alabama. This is the first time Alabama's underdog at home since I think 2007, which was Nick Saban's first year at Alabama.
That's pretty cool.
So it's been a long time.
They haven't lost many of those games either.
They've lost a few, but not a lot.
Okay.
Alabama 3-0. They've looked impressive so far this year. Had a close call against South Florida for 3 quarters and kind of pulled it out.
Yeah, took it away from there.
Their last game was 2 weeks ago at Wisconsin. They just beat the shit out of Wisconsin, but Wisconsin I don't think is very good. I think this is a team we're going to learn a lot about both of these teams. Something's telling me I'm going to go with the coach that's been there longer. The program over the past few years, they've won 2 out of 3 national championships. They've won almost 30 straight SEC games. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs, going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and showing why probably the best team in the SEC, probably the best team in the country.
I disagree with you, not about those two things, but about them going to Alabama and winning. Alabama has been in full stride, despite that shaky, half of football they played, where they, Northern?
South Florida.
South Florida.
South Florida's not bad, though, unless Miami beat the shit out of them, too.
But Jalen Milroe has been a rocket ship.
He has been.
Throwing for 8 touchdowns, rushing for 6. I mean, he is the game guy for Alabama. I think he's going to do everything he needs to do at home. This is what Alabama is an at-home team.
We don't know what they are now. There's no Nick Saban.
Yeah, but with what they're doing not to every other team, but what they're doing with Jalen Milroe specifically, he is the offense. I don't think Georgia's going to have a huge answer for that, and I think Alabama's going to win. I think
Georgia has a great defense. I think they're going to stop. They're going to make Jalen Milroe throw, and if Jalen Milroe is one-dimensional, I think Georgia dominates.
We finna see.
We finna see.
All right, let's move on. The Illinois fighting Illini. Taking on
Illini. The Illini going to the Nittany Lions, number 9 Penn State.
These are some awesome mascot names. Yeah.
That's why you got to love college football. Both teams undefeated. 4-0 Illinois, who we talked about earlier, beating Nebraska last week. 3-0 Penn State. Penn State beat the shit out of Kent State last week. This is one of the most surprising spreads of the week because Illinois is 4-0, as we said. They've been looking good. They're 19-point underdogs.
I was going to say it opened at 17.5, and it's already up to 19, so it's growing.
19-point underdogs for the Illini. Plus 700. Penn State is minus 1,000. So do not bet on Penn State.
Yeah.
Minus 1,000 is not worth it. They're a team that's notoriously, they can play down to their opponents. I think Penn State wins the game, but I think it's a lot closer than 19 points. I think Penn State's good. I think they have a chance to win the Big Ten. I think they're one of the better teams in the country, but they're not a team that is going to come out and blow a lot of teams out, I don't think.
Okay. Other than Kent State.
But Kent State's like, they played Como High School.
I get it. But they did just blow them out, so.
Yeah, they blew out a
Como. I get it.
Go look how they play Bowling Green.
True. Fair. I agree with you. I think Penn State's going to win. It's probably going to be closer because Altmaier for Illinois has been pretty damn good.
The quarterback? Yeah, he's been good. He was great against Nebraska.
I'm paying attention
He
to
outshined Raiola.
Yeah,
Raiola had a good game, so it's not like he played bad, but he did what you need to do at the end and led the charge and got the win.
He led that game over Nebraska. He's been efficient. No interceptions on the year. He moves well enough to have only been sacked 7 times through 4 games. That's very good. Also, shout out to his O-line because obviously that means they're holding up as well. Most of those touchdowns are going to that wide receiver Bryant. That he has 6 of them, which is impressive. But yeah, I think Penn State's going to win, but I think the Illini are going.
Illini.
God damn it, the Fighting Illini Is that better?
Yes.
Cool. The Fighting Illini are going to give the Nittany
The Fighting
Lions
what?
Illini.
Okay, there we go.
God, did I do it wrong again?
Yeah, you kind of mushed it all together.
Sorry. I think Illinois is going to give them a run for their money, but Penn State will win.
All right, let's move on to the next game. It's the only college game that's not ranked versus ranked, but it is, as of this week, will be a new conference game in a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
We got 4-0 Washington State Cougars going to Boise to take on the 25th ranked 2-1 Boise State Broncos. Boise State, their only loss, if you remember, second field goal loss at Oregon, who's a top 10 team. Boise State last week beat Portland State 56-14, so it's kind of an easy win for them.
So
Washington
is Boise
State.
State very good, or is it like the swan song that has to end at some point?
No, Boise State's been good for like 20 years.
Okay. Cool.
Washington State barely beat an undefeated San Jose State. San Jose State not usually good at football.
It was like 54-52
in double overtime.
Yeah.
7.5-point favorites. Boise State at home minus 290 on the money line for Boise. Boise has arguably the best running back in the country in Gentry. He's going to be a first-round pick most likely. 9
touchdowns on the ground.
They're going to lean heavy on him. Can Washington State stop the run? That's going to be the difference in the game.
I agree. John Mateer, that's the Washington State Cougars quarterback. He's got 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but he also has 457 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, Washington State's a team that spreads it out, and they've always played good offense.
It's pretty cool to see him move the ball as well as he has so far this season, which is why I think they're going to pose that same kind of problem for Boise State.
I think this is going to be a very close game. I think 7.5 points is crazy for the spread, but I think Boise, they have the best player on the field and Gentry in the running back. I got Boise. I think it's going to be close, though.
I think Washington State's going to win a close game. That's why I think we're differing there, because it's close or closer than this looks.
I like this. We got 3 different college football teams.
I think Mateer is going to have more success, similar success like he had, in a close game.
All right, so that wraps up college football, Alex. Let's move on to
3 different picks on the
3 different picks.
Nice. That's rare.
Let's move on to our NFL picks. That is rare. So
that's not good for one of us.
We'll see.
All right, week
NFL.
4. Started off Vikings at Packers.
One of the hottest teams in the NFL.
Packers are still great. They just lost Jordan Love for a couple weeks, and he could be back this week. So
Malik Willis has not looked bad.
No,
he went against his old team, the Titans, and he just was like, "You pick Will Levis over me? Fuck you."
Yeah, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna win, and that they did. So Jordan Love's back at the helm. If he's not 100%. Does that affect everything? I don't know, probably, but...
Packers are at home, too, by the way.
Right.
And they're minus 2.5 favorites.
Sam Darnold, though, is making the absolute most of his second chance to be a starter for an NFL team.
Third chance, Panthers.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. I don't count the Panthers as an NFL team
anymore. When your first 2 teams are the Jets and the Panthers, that's like one shitty team.
Yeah. They beat Houston.
Probably the most impressive win of the season so far, the 34-7 win over Houston last week. But the Packers also went to Tennessee 30-14.
Yep.
Packers 2-1, Vikings 3-0. This is a classic rivalry. I just think at home the Packers are going to find a way to beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings are a good team, but they're going to come a little more down to earth than being like blowing people out.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be a close game. That's why the spread's 2.5. I think the over/under there at 43.5 is probably pretty close. They're not wrong by a lot often. I think Sam Darnold has a lot of momentum. I think the team has a lot of momentum. You have like Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the league.
I think at this point it's safe to say he's like the best currently.
I'm just saying so nobody gets mad.
I'll say it.
He's got a great team behind him. If you have a hurt Jordan Love, I think the Vikings go to the Packers and take advantage of that. So I picked the Vikings winning against the Packers.
So another differ. Well, let's go to the next one. Another 2.5-point spread. This time the away team is the favorites. The 2-1 Eagles go into the 2-1 Bucks. We said the Vikings had the most impressive win last week.
The Eagles had the most.
No. The Bucks had the worst loss.
Yeah.
You get dominated 26-7 by Bo Nix-led Broncos. Embarrassing. Yeah. The Bucks just didn't even show up. And as you said, the Eagles probably had the worst win. 15-12 against the Saints, but neither team deserved to win that.
It sucks when you're the 12 o'clock market and it's like, fuck, I have to watch. If you had hindsight, it's like, I have to watch that game. God damn it.
But as I said, Eagles 2.5-point favorites on the road in Tampa. Both teams 2-1. I think this is a pretty close game. It's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be both teams seem to be kind of inconsistent. When they show up, they're good teams. When they don't show up, things could get ugly.
Is A.J. Brown back in for the Eagles, or is he still going to be out? I forgot to look.
I don't know as of right now.
Either way, that could be a big effect for the Eagles. I think with Jalen Hurts been playing bad for, 9 games in a row now, leading to...
He had a good game in Brazil.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
The first game.
You're right. But he hasn't had a great last, 7 games. Overall, the stretch hadn't been good to him since the end of last season. So far this year, he's got 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 772 yards. He's still throwing the ball accurately, but he just can't seem to get into the red zone as much as he was in previous seasons so far. It's early, I get it. Barkley was a great addition to the team.
Yeah, he's their best player.
Seemed like Giants really screwed the pooch on that one.
You let him go to your rival?
Yeah, that's stupid. Trade him to anybody else, just not in the same division as you. Either way, I think the Eagles are 2-1, but they're not great. Like the Buccaneers, they're also 2-1, but they're not
sometimes
great.
when you're not playing great through a stretch, you just got to figure out ways to get wins until you figured it out. And I think that's what kind of both teams are doing. Although the Bucs look good the first 2 weeks.
I will say that I think the Bucs are going to win because Baker Mayfield is going to have that normal type of Baker Mayfield rebound. He does that abysmal 2-interception type game. I think he threw 1 or 2 this past week. But then he's going to go off this week throwing 4 or something ridiculous.
So we differ on that one. The first 2 NFL ones, I got the Eagles. Let's move on. Next one, Chiefs at the Chargers. You said you love these Chiefs money lines. Well, here's one for you. -425, the Chiefs.
Talking about
on
we
the
never
road.
see big money lines in the NFL. This was massive.
Undefeated Chiefs, the favorite on the road against the 2-1 Chargers, mostly because of the injury to Justin Herbert. I think the Chiefs would probably be a slight favorite if it was a fully healthy Herbert, or it would be a very close game.
It's hard to say because in the offseason, the Chargers really went run first. That's what they switched to, and it works for them. But it
almost makes you think they could.
What?
The loss of Herbert might not be as big as you think.
Right, you're not going to have to lean so much on Easton Stick. I think is the backup. Maybe the third guy if somebody else is playing, and maybe Heineken started last week instead. Heineke.
But the Chargers, they had a bad. Pittsburgh somehow beat. I don't say somehow. Pittsburgh's 3-0, but
Justin Fields might be back too.
Justin Fields might be back. Chiefs, as we talked about, they pulled a win out of their ass against the Falcons last week.
Mahomes not having as much success.
But this is the same thing they did last year.
Right.
And they're undefeated at this point, so I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all.
He can't hit Travis Kelce, but that opens the door for other. He's not hitting one guy so much; he's hitting everybody because he's forced to check reads and everything, which is playing to. They're undefeated, so you get it.
Yeah, I think they stay undefeated.
Yeah, the 4-0, especially with down quarterback options and not much else going on with differences. I think the Chiefs continue to own.
So Chiefs roll. We both got the Chiefs. Let's move on. Sunday Night Football, probably the most intriguing matchup of the weekend.
Bills?
The 3-0 Bills at the 1-2 Ravens, who tried as hard as they could to start 0-3 after coming out dominating Dallas.
The Ravens are the best 1-2 team in football. Maybe.
The Ravens are...
Maybe.
They remind me a lot of the Cowboys.
But my dad's a Cowboys fan, so I'm not associated with the Ravens like that. I hear the talk of the Cowboys, and then I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see it.
Yeah, but the Ravens, at least, I think everybody believes in them.
They do. They have a great quarterback who's been throwing way more accurately this year than any other year so far. Again, I know it's early.
And the Ravens, although they're 1-2, they're 2.5-point favorites against the undefeated Bills.
And they have acquired Derrick Henry,
And Derrick Henry's been going off. He's been stiff-arming the shit out of people.
Everybody. I love it.
But the Bills coming off... they dominated the Jaguars last week, 47-10.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen looks like he's that guy again. He's not missing Stephon Diggs at all. In fact, I think he's kind of happy he doesn't have that headache anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think I like Stephon Diggs.
But he does have that drama behind him.
I don't think he's a locker room guy.
Right. You want a locker room guy. I would want a locker room guy if I was a professional athlete.
The Ravens are 1-2. Can they figure it out? They've had close games. They're a good team. They should have beat the Chiefs. They were dominating Dallas for most of the game.
The big issue for me, through 3 weeks, the Bills haven't allowed more than 140 rushing yards a game. They played, a couple teams. So what is that like? Can Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, if they can't get it going on the ground, the game's over before it starts?
I agree.
I think the Bills have a good enough defense. I mean, you had DeMar Hamlin killed Tua a couple weeks ago.
And then he got an interception this week.
Right, so
first career.
The guy who was like lowest on the totem pole for the Bills is playing up here right now.
The Walking Dead is back, baby.
So I think the Bills stay hot. I think they walk into the Ravens' house and they put the Ravens 1-3. I think all the options that Josh Allen has, his running ability, his passing accuracy, he's got everything.
I agree.
Not all. I know it's a big task. All the Bills have to do is stop the run. If you stop the run, the game is over.
I agree with you. I think the Bills move to 4-0. I think the talk coming into next week is going to be what's wrong with the Ravens. They're 1-3. Can they rebound? Much like the talk right now is about the Bengals being 0-3.
Much like my fantasy team, 0-3 to start the season.
Oof.
Big oof.
Let's move on to our last game we're going to cover. It's one of the Monday Night Football games. The surprising 3-0 Seattle Seahawks taking on the 2-1 Detroit Lions, who have proven they're still here.
So I'm going to eat my words on another subject because I was wrong about Geno Smith last year when he was reactivated. He's back, yada, yada. Whatever, I'm wrong. He's a good quarterback.
He's a solid quarterback.
Yeah, like, good for him. 30-something years old, deep into your 30s, getting back
He was a first-round pick, looked like a bust, and came back, much like possibly Sam Darnold's doing.
That has been happening more and more lately.
Sometimes you just need some time to develop. And
a different scheme.
Jared Goff,
Baker Mayfield,
Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield,
Matt
Sam
Stafford.
Darnold possibly. Well, Matt Stafford was.
He won a Super Bowl off a trade. Is the only reason I'm asking.
Yeah, but he was good his whole career. He was all pro.
That's true. You're right.
But yeah,
you're right.
It happens. But Seahawks going to Detroit, Monday Night Football. Detroit 3.5-point favorites, -195. Detroit beat Arizona last week.
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks dominated a Tua-less Miami Dolphins.
But Jared Goff took a small step back last week. He didn't have a great game. He's going to need a great game to beat the Seahawks.
I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the 3.5 is fair. You know, they say 3 points just for being at home in the NFL, so it's a half point, so it's pretty much a toss-em game. I think the Lions figure out a way. I think they move to 3-1. I think much like the Vikings, the Seahawks are good, but they're going to come a little back down to earth this week, get the 3-1. So give me the Lions. Give me Dan Campbell. Give me his house address, too.
There you go. Yeah, I want it now. I also picked the Lions, and I'm gonna rock with a Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown as like my bet as to what's gonna happen in the game.
I don't hate it, Alex.
I like Gibbs. He's a good back. All right, let's give everybody the 16 picks for this week?
16 picks. I'll start off. I'll give you all my 16. You give all your 16.
All right. From the top. Go.
From the top, I got Benoit Saint-Denis, Brendan Allen, Joanderson, Brito, Bryan Battle, Morgan Charriere, Matt Frevola.
You can tell you're from Louisiana saying Charriere instead of Charriere.
Charriere. I'm sorry. Charriere. My apologies. Kansas State, Notre Dame, Georgia Bulldogs, Penn State Nittany Lions, Boise State Broncos, Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions.
Nice. That sounds like 16 to me. From the top, I got Matt Frevola, Gabriel Miranda, Bryan Battle, Joanderson Brito, Brendan Allen, Benoit Saint-Denis, college football, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Penn State, and Washington State, NFL, Vikings, Buccaneers, Chiefs, Bills, and Lions.
All right, Alex, let's give our 5 bets for the week, and then let's get out of here. I'll give you my 5, you give your 5?
Yeah, and then we'll go see our families.
So I got 2 units on all 5 of my picks, so just keep that in mind so I don't have to say it every time. My 2 MMA bets, I got Brendan Allen moneyline at +175, and I got Bryan Battle moneyline at -170. Then I'm going to go college football. I got the Georgia Bulldogs -2 spread at -110 odds. Then I got the Illinois Fighting Illini +19 at -110 odds. And then my last bet is going to be the Buffalo Bills money line +115. If the Bills are plus, I got to put money on it.
That with how good they look right now, I agree. That is solid. My 5 starting from the top. Matt Frevola money line plus 100. 2 units on everything as well. That's a little simpler. I'll tell you if it changes in the future. Bryan Battle money line minus 188. Washington State University money line plus 220. Bills money line following you there plus 118. And the Lions money line at minus 190.
All right, so those are our bets. Alex, I think that wraps up episode 61.
61, yes, sir.
Split decision. Check us out next week.
I was going to do it.
Episode 62. Alex, is UFC 307 next week?
It is October 5th. So
It
yes.
is next Saturday.
Woof.
UFC 307.
We get to see Charriere fight again.
We get to see Pereira fight again. Check it out. I'll be in my Pereira shirt again. We'll have college football to go over. New picks and old picks. We have NFL new picks and old picks. We'll probably have a top 5 possibly.
Something.
We'll have something, so check us out. Peace.
Appreciate it. Bye.